have you here.
Good morning.
Yes, so pleased to have you here. So for today's webinar, it's going to be a bit conversational. We'll be discussing how SMEs can navigate post-COVID-19. And as we are already aware, SMEs are already plagued with a lot of issues from poor financing, inadequate social infrastructure, multiple tax, lack of managerial, pandemic. There are so many. And to top it up, there is COVID-19. So they have to, aside all the issues they are already facing, they have to also decide and, know how to tackle the effects of COVID-19 on their business. So today we have two guests with us, the MEC and we have Fatai. These are two experts in the industry. They've either analyzed businesses for several years or worked with SMEs, and they will be sharing knowledge with us, knowledge that we can take back, and knowledge that can help SMEs actually, navigate the various challenges they will be facing post-COVID-19. Okay, so without wasting any more time, I will be inviting Fatai to give us his presentation. And afterwards, we'll have Yemisi, then we will take a few questions and wrap up the session. Thank you for joining us. Fatai, you have the floor.
Okay, good morning once again, everyone.
Good morning,
all right, thank you, Kambili, for the compliment, saying that we are industry experts. Of course, I know everybody on this forum are experts, but what I would just like to share are the various experiences that we've had with customers, with the practitioners, and what we see, and some of the guidance that we give to them, and what we need to share such with us. So let me start by saying that we have pandemic at our hand, but really most of the strategies that we're talking about are strategies that have always been with us. But maybe what we'll be talking about now is for us to become more conscious, very deliberate about applying those strategies to our businesses going forward. Of course, like I mentioned, okay, so let me ask, are we seeing what the screen I'm trying to share? Can we see the screen?
See your screen.
Okay, that's great.
I'm not seeing the screen, no. I can't see the
screen. Okay, maybe just give it a few minutes. You should see it. It might be your network.
Okay. That's fine. So I can continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. So as I was saying, so what this period will mean to us is how we can more deliberate, about implementing some of these strategies to enable us, whether, of course, this period is not going to be forever. And I like the theme of this conversation, post-COVID. So we're speaking out of the fact that we're sure that definitely we're moving out of this strongly. But what we need to do differently, going forward. So that I don't take, because I have about 15 minutes, so that I don't. So like I mentioned, what I'm going to discuss are not something that are new to us, but we need to be more deliberate on how we can apply these things to our businesses. So now, what are the survival strategies that I've thought through that we need to apply post-COVID? So I've mentioned the key issues, about 4 key issues that I've thought on top of my mind that are very important, that will be very veritable for us to apply to our business post-COVID to ensure that we are sustainable. So first thing is to remodel our business plan. So when I'm talking about, so we have our business model that we are operating now. So I'm still going to discuss those issues comprehensively in the next slide. The second one is for us to leverage digital platform to scale our operations. Then I'm going to talk about looking out for alternative source of input and value additions to what we're doing. And lastly, we're going to be looking at sustainable financing strategy. So what are the approaches that I'm going to look at to address these key issues that I've identified? Now, when we're talking about business remodeling, so the first point that I raised there is that we need to redesign our relationship with stakeholders. Now, when I'm talking about redesigning our relationship with stakeholders, I'm talking about the partners in the business, our customers, I'm talking about our suppliers. So we need to do something differently to be able to capture more value from this relationship. Now, for instance, with our suppliers, is it possible for us to engage with them to get a better, terms and condition on our engagement? So you have a supplier that is giving you, that you're getting your raw material from, and pre-COVID, there wasn't any incentive that was coming from such supplier. Post-COVID, and given that we're coming out of a crisis situation, is it possible to have a conversation with this supplier to say that, okay, we could see, of course, so that we don't take much of our time, everybody understand the impact of COVID on businesses, on employment and all that. So we understand that we're coming from a crisis situation. So post-COVID, I'm saying that is it possible to engage our supplier to get some terms and conditions that could help us, to begin, to reestablish ourselves into the new system, that the new order, because of course a new order will be created. That can be overemphasized. We've started talking about what workplace will be in the coming period. A lot of organizations have implemented a lot of strategies around how workplace will be going forward. Some people have they have a plan. Some people have completely remote working model and all those things. So the same thing will apply to harvest too. Is it possible now, because we are coming from a situation where in the coming period, there will be, so to say, we know that one way or the other, however we look at it, liquidity is scarce in the economy now. So when we're selling to our customers too, what strategies are we putting in place to ensure that we're able to support them at this period? Now, among the stakeholders, the partners, the investors too, this is a time for us to be able to take some hits on the about the business, to take some sacrifices. Is it possible that around our pay, our salary, we take something that we need to do to reduce the burden on our business? I think that's one thing that I think we need to do. Then we need to maximize. So now, in the coming period, competition is going to be very strife. And that we need to put at the back of our mind. Because, yeah, we're coming from a pandemic situation. But the truth of the matter is that this is going to create another opportunity. We're going to see a lot of inculcation into our space. A lot of businesses that have not been doing what we're doing before, there will be competition. We too, with our business model, we're going to try to break new ground. So competition is going to be very strong in the coming period. Now, we need to think through maximize customers loyalty of customers. Now, what can we do this differently around how we engage our customers. These are how we deliver our services and our goods. This is very important. Like I mentioned, because there will be competition, so customer might have a lot of options. And part of what you want to do is to lose your customers. Because, of course, if you lose customers, what that means is that you are losing revenue. So what are we going to do differently? We need to think truly and deeply about this. So I can give an example. Some banks have started doing, during the pandemic. So what some banks have done is that, and I'm just using that example, there's a way we can relate this to our businesses. Okay, because they understand that, customers are going through a lot of liquidity strain at this period. Loan repayments could be a challenge. Even before customers coming out to seek for loan restructuring and all those things, some banks have been proactive to put this to the customer to say that, okay, can we extend your repayment? Some banks are adopting things like, okay, we want to deliver your debit card to you in your house. You don't need to visit any of our branches. Part of what some banks have done is to improve on online engagement in such that you can now open accounts. Of course, if I'm allowed to say this, when I'm saying some bank, in fact, my bank, Sterling Bank, is doing this already, to say that you can even open your account online without visiting any of our branches. So what we have done is that we have saved the customer the cost of traveling to any of our mortar and brick branches. So in the comfort of your home or wherever you are, you can have access to bank account. We're going to get your debit card delivered to you and all this more. So is it possible that we can take some learning from this and see how we can apply to our business? Of course, because of constraint of time, I think I need to be very, Then another thing is that we need to look around how we can, enhance productivity and efficiency. Now, and being an entrepreneur or a business person, I'm sorry, I want to digress a bit. There's this thinking that goes around in the public space that people would say that, I can't I can't be in a paid employment. I would rather be a business person. Thinking like an entrepreneur, thinking like being an entrepreneur is an easy way out. Please, being an entrepreneur requires a lot of thinking. It's not for the feeble-minded people. So what we're saying now is that we need to think through as what can we do differently to improve productivity. Are there some things that we're doing that, seems to be to have collusion that are repetitive of the same function within our organization? Is it possible that we can make this function together, to improve efficiency? Is it possible that, we have about 2 or 3 staff that are doing the same thing, which an individual can do? Can we let that individual concentrate on such so that we can be more productive, we can free up the other 2 persons and let them concentrate on other activities? This, in a way, will help us to improve productivity and efficiency and reduce waste of time. Because most times, people stay on the production line. People are just talking away. Much is not happening, and that will lead to waste in resources. If we're using diesel to generate power, for instance, you are just burning fuel. And so is it possible for us to look closely and look at various activities and see how they are connected and see how we can streamline those activities to improve productivity? It is very important. Then another point that I'm going to talk about is how we can leverage digitization and automation. Now, this is very, very important. Now, we are having this conversation now where we're leveraging on technology to have this conversation. Some months before now, it might have been maybe we meet at a venue to do this. But this is the new order, really. I've been working from home for the past 2-3 months, And I can tell you that productivity hasn't dropped from my side. And the same thing, my colleagues on this forum, I think they can attest to the same thing. You see, so now is it possible that we can leverage technology? So technology is going to do a lot of things for us. For instance, around our payment, our collection and payment system as businesses is going to reduce privilege to a barest minimum. What can we do to ensure that we limit contact with cash? If we've not been doing this before, because I know that it's a lot of practice amongst SMEs in this part of the world. I don't know what is responsible for that. People just like, holding on to cash. They want to see their cash. They want to collect cash. Even you'll be shocked you get to some outlets. They have POS, but people are insisting that you need to pay them cash. So it could be a trust issue. There could be a lot of factors that are responsible for this. But I'm saying that going forward, can we consciously try to adopt this? And like I mentioned, what this is going to do for us, one, is going to limit the question of privilege and loss in revenue. Because whether you like it or not, most of these, I'm sorry, most of these salespeople that you have, they do a lot of things with our cash. So let's see how we can limit direct contact with cash going forward. Now, can we try to leverage digital marketing too? We have a lot of platforms that we can do this. Your Instagram, your Facebook, all the various digital platforms. Is it possible, your Google, your Google platform and all these things, is it possible for us to leverage all these platforms in order to increase our reach to customer? Because in the coming period, for the next 1 year or two, studies have shown that people are still going to be very conscious about, having direct contact with people. So, which means that we can reach out more to people on our business if we deploy this for our digital marketing, for our advertisement, and passing information on our business to our customers. Then can we automate some of our operations too? That is very important. So as much as possible, like I mentioned, this sync directly with the other advantages that I've spoken about. If we automate our operations, it's going to reduce wastages as much as possible. Because if you have an the initial capital outlay for this automation could be huge. But if we consider the benefits, the total benefits at the end of the day, and we have a lot of financial experts that we can talk to that can, run through our cash flow for us, can, do a lot of financial analysis for us around all these things. Let's make effort, and there are lots of funding sources that we can get, to get machineries for our businesses, for our operational activities, and this is one of the easiest finance to access. We're talking about, because for that, unlike working capital that might not be easy control around that. But if you are buying equipment or machineries, financiers are always very interested in doing that. So let's say, like I mentioned, the initial outlay might look so huge to us, but after doing that, going forward, it's going to be a great benefit to us as a business. And what that will do, because in the coming period, given that liquidity is cash, that's not the period that we want to waste raw material. That's not the period that we want to pay more on electricity. That's not the period that we just want to keep our production equipment running without any productivity. So we need to think through about this. Then another point that I'm going to talk about is alternative. So let's think about alternative to source of input and value addition. Now, this is very important. As of today, of course, especially this, our economy that is import dependent. We know what exchange rate is today. naira to dollars. And we know the implication of that if we want to continue to get our raw material from the abroad. We know what it means. It means that you're going to spend more. And this is not the period. And if we say that we're going to pass this cost to the final consumers, like I mentioned earlier, there's a great lot of opportunities that is looking around, and people are willing to, to disrupt any business, any industry, to bring whatever solution that is important. They are willing to do that. So is it possible to look at other source of raw material that will be cheaper for us? Because going forward in the coming period, or for some period to come, it might be very very difficult for us to access, FX. It might be very difficult for us to access FX. So let's look at other source of raw material. It is very important for us if we can do this. If we can source our raw material locally, I think it's going to help us to reduce cost, cost of logistics, and all those things, which eventually, would keep our cost of production within a very competitive margin, and at the end of the day, our cost of sales, and will continue to remain competitive in the marketplace. This is not a time that we want to take a cost that will not be competitive to the market. We know what this means. This can easily shut us out of business. And this is not the time we want to gamble around that. So let's start to think through about that. Then can we think about forward integration of businesses in Africa into primary activities like farming have been with us for a long time? We don't really do much of value addition. We just cultivate our produce, we sell off straight, and with this, we are not able to maximize our returns on these things. For instance, sometimes about 2 years ago, I was engaging some people. I was thinking about going into cassava cultivation. And when we sat down and we plugged the numbers, somebody was telling me that a truck of cassava, after planting for a whole year, if we're going to sell a truck of cassava, is going to be around 80,000 naira. I was like, a truck of cassava, 80,000, 100,000, very, some kind of, I don't know how to put it. The revenue, the return didn't really look attractive to me. So immediately what I was thinking on top of my head is that, okay, if eventually I want to go into this cassava production, I'm not going to be selling cassava. I'm looking at what can I do to improve this cassava, maybe to starch, to produce ethanol from it, to convert it to some kind of finished goods, which will be some value addition, and consumer will be willing to pay more for this. So this is something that we can start thinking of as businesses. So is there a way we can add some value to our product that we're not just selling as a primary product? If we have some value, I think it could be a source to get more revenue for us. I think I'm getting some signal that I'm running out of time. I think I can manage in the next 5 minutes. I should be able to. Then the last one is backward integration. This is very important. Even if you are into production activities, is it possible that you rethink your business process and try to work through a collaboration to get your raw material from yourself? A very good example is what Dangote has done. Everybody is aware that Dangote is going to be one of the major producers of tomato paste in Africa in some years to come. What has he done? Through the anchor borrower scheme of the CBN, he has been able to get some challenge. And of course, everybody knew about the plague that visited that section of business some years back, that there was some pest and there was dearth in supply of tomatoes to the market. So they were able to think through this, and they did a kind of forward transaction with some farmers to say that, okay, you are going to produce for us for the next 2 years, 3 years, and we've bought these tomatoes upfront from you. That's a kind of backward into. So now they are looking at getting that source of raw material and producing, tomato. So is
very clear.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello. Am I good? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Lati. We can hear you, Fatai.
Okay. So can we think through about this? Can we have some kind of collaborations? If we're in the main production, is it possible for us to engage? You see, collaboration, in fact, is very good at this point. What you are doing is that you are saving yourself the burden of those things that maybe you don't really have sufficient skill. You are allowing other party to do that for you while you concentrate your own effort on what you are very good at. So let's improve on collaboration at this point. Let's get people that can get this source of raw material for us at a very reasonable terms and condition. And we're able to lock in this transaction. With this, we're not going to have issues around maybe there's shortage in supply of raw material or goods, because we've been able to work out this strategic collaboration. So it's very important. It's something that we need to look at. Now, last but not the least, the sustainable financing strategy. Now, this is a time that we need to rework somebody said that it's a common saying that they asked that when is the best time to plant a tree? Somebody said it was 20 years ago. And then I asked again that when is the next best time to plant the tree again? The person said now. Now, if we had missed the opportunity to plant tree some 20 years ago, whatever mistake we might have made in the past, I think we can, undo those mistakes and start doing things right going forward. Now, around sustained financing strategy, as a business, I think it is important now, given the experience of this pandemic, that we need to have something we call contingency finance. It is very important. As we do it at our individual level, I think we need to take it to the business level too. While it's important that we claw back some profit to improve on our capital base and all those things, to set them aside without be part of our policy that profits of the period. We're going to business during this period to function. And this is not a good time. MEC will speak to that when it's at request. If we bring 100 requests to MEC at this time, I doubt if the time that we put through will be essential services or goods. And I want MEC to speak to that. So as much as businesses can still access finance now, it's not all business. Your business must be some essential that even at this period, you are able to generate revenue. Great decisions are not based on emotions. You are not going to go to the risk underwriters and say, because if I don't get this money, my business is going to go under. They are going to ask you, are you going to pay the loan back? But if we have some contingency finance plan, we can use this to at least to continue to do something before the situation improves and before we can access. This is the period also that we need to start speaking to our financiers to renegotiate our terms, so that we can reloan, so that we can reduce our amount for us to be able to weather this situation, and post-COVID, we're able to get ourselves through that period before we eventually become sustainable. Then the last but not the least is question around access to funding. Now, there are a lot of issues around access to funding, and I can tell us for free that a whole lot of these funds are available. But the challenge is that a lot of SMEs are not doing things that they need to do right. Going forward, because of this experience, I think we need to start doing what we need to do right. It's important. There's a saying that if the same thing is being said over and over again, at a point it starts to to make sense. For instance, there are a lot of music, a lot of songs that we don't like. But if you start hearing it on the airwave, unconsciously you start singing it. Not penalty or throwing, although initially you might not like it and all those things. So what I'm saying in essence is that for businesses, it's important going forward we keep proper financial record, because in any period, it's only your record that your financier can see. Like I mentioned also, emotions is not going to cut it. Now, if we have our record, there are a lot of funds that are waiting there for us to access. But because we don't have good, you can't tell me that, oh, I've done this so much in the past, and I'm asking you, where can I see this? And what you keep telling me is that, we don't keep. No, nobody will listen. So we need to do all these things. If we have all this record, we keep proper record, we separate, there's structure around our business. As a business owner, I don't just dip my hand into the business fund. I'm paying my salary. We can separate all these things and financier can see it. I'm telling you, there are a lot of funding opportunities that are available out there for you. But before we can access all these things, we need to start doing the right thing. And this experience, of course, should be able to guide us to start doing the right thing going forward. So that I don't continue to make this appear like a monologue. I have 15 minutes of time, and unfortunately, I think I've spent more than that. So let me just put this to a stop while I allow other people to speak. Then we can engage further. Thank you for the opportunity and the time.
Thank you very much, Fatai. Thank you. This meant a lot to us.